after all of the projects through Oz 30K, so like running the Kickstarters to produce the event models, kind of quickly started seeing the tendency of STLs, and it became harder and harder to do the logistics of physical models and then post them, especially from Australia. So the Patreon's primarily about STLs, but we we've got physical ones and that sort of stuff. And of course, we've got coins and dice and templates and all of that sort of stuff because I just love swag. But yeah, it's kind of, we got a heap of concept art from a guy called Charles Lynn, and then he was generous enough to let us use heaps of those concept arts for the main gangers. And then we commissioned Oniris Terenzi to do some more artwork of the councillors, who's like the head of the households. And so we're then using them as the basis for producing the models. Tsippas and Carlos Ruida do all of the sculpting for us. And yeah, basically once a month we'd kind of spit these models out, and there's a scenario each month that the patrons vote on, like a story arc, 3 different arcs, and kind of extending the story, and we release models based on the different storylines and that sort of stuff. And it's good fun. It's really good to kind of interact with the patrons and that sort of stuff. So that's kind of where a lot of my energy has been going lately, which is kind of like I used to do the Oz 30K books. So like we did the Great Crusade, Craft World Eldar, Necrons, Orcs, did Rogue Traders, did Agents and Fugitives, Thunder Warriors and that sort of stuff. So we did that progressively over the course of the years. Often to try, the Xenos started to try and help people get included in our games that were being left behind in 40K. 40K kind of went to 8th, and a lot of narrative players didn't like that particular edition in our area. And so we kind of just, well, all right, we'll try and kind of retro fit those particular armies into the Great Crusade. So we kind of adjusted it, gave them a little bit more historical stuff, and then they kind of jumped in us. So we started playing 30K games, not Horus Heresy games. We kind of made sure that, well, yes, the Horus Heresy was about the Imperium, but we're not playing the Horus Heresy. We're playing in 30K, which was bigger than a 7-year period. You can play in that 7-year period if you want. We're playing in like a couple of centuries. And so it allowed a few more people who were still like-minded because they had that same narrative mentality that we've been talking about, and people loved it.
So I suppose would love it too. I think we would love it too over here, because it's like a lot of the new players, right, that I find, right, they don't like the current edition as well. They find it a bit too clunky, a bit too many gotcha moments, a bit too many like, aha, I have this stratagem, so I'm gonna react to this. And it's just like, I think it's better to go back to like to a more narrative rule set where it's just like, hey, I've got my models, it does this thing, and that's all it can do. So that's what I want to do with it. So I think that is an amazing point of view to go from, because you're not going from I want the most amount of people, I want more people in my community. It's basically, these people are being left out, they're being left behind, so we should try our best to include them, because they're also part of the community as well. They're part of the hobby. So we shouldn't leave them behind. So I think
that's something that we've really tried to kind of convey, in that it's not trying to, again, going back to version, attract people for 40K. These are people who enjoy narrative gaming. Now they feel that, whether it's true or not, or whether other people feel the same way, they feel that 8th or 9th doesn't allow them to do narrative gaming. So there's an avenue in here for them. Now, to be honest, the army lists that I've made aren't that strong. Most of the Imperial armies will trounce the Xenos as it was supposed to be. But what we tried to do is we tried to make the lists historically accurate as much as possible.
Yeah.
So, for example, the current world, the aspect warriors were only just emerging. So you don't have free-for-all. You can't have all of the aspect warriors. You can only pick 2 or 3 different ones on the shrines and that sort of stuff. There were other technologies that were only later reintroduced in 40k, so some of the tanks aren't there. So that the Eldar one is kind of the most basic kind of porting. The Necron, I started doing a little bit more playing around, and that was a really narrative one. It was based on the old, the Nodal Command Network. I'm not sure whether if you're familiar with Necrons.
Yes. I started reading up on that because...
Yeah, they had the Bronze Command, then the Silver, then the Gold, and the Platinum. And the Platinum was basically the Silent King.
Yeah.
But, of course, the Silent King wasn't there in 30k.
Yeah.
So there was no Platinum Command. And so your actual Force org chart is based on the Nodal Command Network. So if you've only got a Bronze, you can only access Bronze level units. Once you got to Silver, you unlock the Silver level units. And so you have to actually kind of invest in your HQ to start unlocking the bigger things, because the Tomb World goes, well, no, you don't have. So you ain't getting the Doom sites. You need to get an actual Nemesis or whatever to bring him in.
Yeah, you don't have access to this. Like, sorry, like, you know.
That's right. And so that was we added the Destroyer as a supplement, and then the Orcs were a little bit. That was kind of the first one where we started really kind of making up units, because we wanted to show that the Orcs back then were stronger than they are in 40. So we had a whole third tier of level, so bigger than the knobs and that sort of stuff. We had their brutes. So basically their basic stat lines was the same as a war boss, and much bigger, and then a tyrant, which was kind of effectively a giant. And so, and they had different things. They had access to a little bit more of a fortification level emphasis, because it was supposed to represent an Orc empire being attacked by the Imperium, not the other way around, because they were the Orc empire being invaded during the Great Crusade. So it was supposed to represent the reversals. That's what I've been passionate about and excited about for the past few years.
I mean, that's got me excited. Like, I really want to play that. I think I've missed out, like, you know, on just, like, you know, I think I've really missed out on here. Like, you know, I want to play that. I'm excited about that. Like, I can't wait for you guys to port that over to, like, whatever the new edition of, like, the Black Books are, because that's going to be really exciting for everyone.
I certainly think that the new edition will kind of redo and finish off. I was very enthusiastic to get what I was terming the fractured dominion, so all of the facets of the Eldar at the time of 30k. So we did Craftworld, I did Exodites, I did ancient Eldar, so they were kind of the precursors to the Corsairs. So I kind of that was probably the most extreme kind of making up my own fluff that I was doing, in that I justified that the Anrathi were a remnants of the original Eldar navy that was so far out, in the same way that the Exodites were out on the fringes, that when the fall happened, they didn't go completely crazy. So these guys have got, like, the warships. They've got all of the original automatons that pre-Wraith times. So they were the proper old automatons. So they had minimalistic bodies. It was all automatic machines and that sort of stuff, and tanks. So where the Anrathi and the Crusades in 40k were like a pirate force, these guys were an orbital assault force. So they would come in and just deep strike tanks and that sort of stuff. And then I was going to do Dark Eldar as the early stages of before they were really, really fucked up. They were always pretty kind of down there, but kind of before they just went under Vect and all of that sort of stuff. So where you had the Dark City, but prior to that, you had a lot more independent city-states and that sort of stuff in the Web Way. kind of trying to represent that. So I'd really kind of made the Fractured Dominion or the Eldar based off the Roman, the different facets of the Romans. So like the Dark Eldar were the Roman houses, the Anrathi was the Roman military, the Craftworlds and now Exodite, I don't know what they were, but it worked in my mind.
They were the weird pilgrims that were like, okay, like just go over there, weird, like,
That's right. So I would probably finish that one off, and I was going to release it as a singular book, like Fractured Dominion, so a single book with all of the different elements of the Eldar in it.
Oh man, that's going to be exciting. That sort of that is going to be super exciting. Hit me up whenever that's in. I will try my damnedest to introduce that into the Singapore community because I think this community needs some narrative, and like I can't do it on my own because I need help. I need a source book because I can't do it on my own. I'm just one man.
Awesome.
Oh man, but yeah, that sounds freaking exciting, man. That sounds extremely exciting. So very, very quickly, last prompt. What are you concerned about in the community?
Look, that's a hard one. I guess I'm definitely, like a lot of people, I'm concerned about the new rules, but probably in a different way that a lot of other people are. I enjoy 7th. It's a great system. But my main part of enjoyment comes from attending events with my friends and rolling dice with them and creating cool shit and kind of telling stories. If the rule system is A or B or C, that's 10% of my enjoyment level type of thing. My concern is that if these rules drop and like a portion of the community go, oh, this is shit, and just try to recreate rules or start splintering, my concern is that the community will splinter.
I mean, it's only such a small community. Once you get splintering, it's like talking about groups of 5 or 6.
It sounds ironic, or me writing supplements and that sort of stuff and then complaining and splintering, but I've always believed when I've written stuff, I try to layer it on top. I try not to change the core. So I'll try not to modify things. Okay, well, that works with this. And when the new rules come out, I'll change those supplementals. I just hope that the community just takes a bit of a step back and goes, we haven't been able to play games for a while because of COVID. Nobody has. The new rules have dropped or whatever. Just take it easy. Just play some games. Just kind of roll the dice, do whatever. Just stop whinging, please.
See how it goes first of all before you whinge about it, and then
That's right. I guess that's kind of my main concern, but it's not a big concern because I just go back to my roots and just do garage gaming type of thing, and rebuild it from there. We've already kind of started it locally, and we'll just kind of build it up and keep playing. And then I've been talking to Lex and that sort of stuff. If you want to start traveling once things open up, come over to Singapore and we'll revenge over in Singapore.
Could we do something with Lex, like some sort of event? Like I'm very much willing to. I very much want to work with Lex on this and go let's do an event. Let's do something for
events are far easier to run than people think. Narrative events are easier than tournaments because you're not having to work out your rankings and all of the stuff. It's just the herding of cats, and it can actually be a lot easier than think, especially if you start using teams and captains and that sort of stuff. They herd their own little team and go from there. So it's really easy to start getting these events going, and you don't need 30 or 40 people to turn up at the time. Just get a dozen people and just build it from there. If those dozen people, as you were saying, if those dozen people walk away and go, that was freaking awesome, and then they tell their mates. The next time you run it, you've got a couple of dozen and whatever. But if you don't get 30 people, who cares? Just enjoy it anyway. I'll fly over to Singapore to play with another half dozen players. I don't give a shit if there's 30 or 6. Like, I'll have the excuse to fly over to Singapore and go to the zoo and take my family and just meet new people and say good day to Lex and yourself. So if you're serious and you want to try and run an event, I'm happy to work with both you and Lex and work something out.
I think it's something that, like, Singapore, the casino community has been sorely lacking. Like, we didn't get much of it even pre-COVID, and now with COVID, it's like zero. And the shops have stopped running events entirely. So it's like we're not even getting, like, the small tournaments from the shops. So it's like, I think we're at a boiling point where, like, community, like, is dying because of it. Like, is actually, like, decreasing, and people are dropping off the radar because there's nothing going on.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's a very scary thing. That's a very scary thing for the hobby.
It's really important. I think, as I said, I've coached a few people with community growth and that sort of stuff. And one of the key aspects I have always told people is that it's really important to hold a regular meeting in the same spot. Don't rotate around areas and that sort of stuff. People need to know that on the second Saturday of each month at 10 o'clock, you will be at shop X or bar Y or hall Z, whatever.
Yeah.
And you do it every month, regularly. If there's 2 people there, you still do it. You never postpone or you never reschedule. It needs to be consistent so that someone knows that, okay, it's the second Saturday of the month. I don't need to try and remember, is it the second month and the third weekend? And it's like, that's the key to establishing a stable community. And from there, you can start building up and then go like, okay, every 6 months we have a little bit of a bigger event. And then at Christmas, we have the breakup party. Like, our Christmas breakup parties were an event called the Hastalude, which was based on a medieval knights tournament. So every player has a single knight, like a proper 28 mil knight. But all of the events were like jousting, grand melee, hand-to-hand combat, what do you call the target practice and that sort of stuff. I've completely forgotten the name. Actually, you can see the images just in the background there. They're like the artwork.
Is that the archery? The archery?
There's one which is defending a bridge, and another one is, I can't remember the name of it, where you got a lance and you hit the swinging shield.
Yeah. That's something. I used to do that.
It's too late for me.
But
yeah, and that was a breakup event. Yeah. And so it was literally, it wasn't 30K, it wasn't 40K, it wasn't any set system. It was a really, really basic. It was based off the there was some random release that just had a knight and some terrain, and it was based off that. And basically,
I remember that. That was the Chaos versus Imperial Knight box. And it was like, I remember that. Yeah.
So we made it. Everybody got 200 credits, and if you disabled your enemy, they had to pay you some equal to their value stuff. And you went round and you ransoms, and you went on a big hunt of a great big monster and just random things. And we ran it like 3 times, and the prize was those canvases. We had 6 different pieces of art made off the medieval style artwork, and we just printed them up on canvases, and that was the prize if you won the joust stuff.
And that's a cool prize. Like, oh god.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was pretty cool. They were good fun. That's another random thing that.
I think that's freaking sweet. I think that's awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose we get. But that's me in a nutshell. An hour more nutshell.
An hour more nutshell. Yeah. thank you very much, man. Like, it's been a real blast having you on Hobby Ramblers. I'm so sorry Molly couldn't be here. He's got the COVIDs right now.
Yeah.
But
Get
honestly,
well, man.
it's been...
Sleep it off.
Yeah, I think it's been such a pleasure, and like I would really hope to talk to you more soon. And
Sure.
yeah, thank you very much. Is there anything you would like to plug in on the video or the channel?
Look, we've talked about House by 10, about Oz 30K and that sort of stuff. I think if people want help with community growth or advice on running events and campaigns and that sort of stuff, I'm always happy to help. That's something that I really enjoy. I've got a fair few resources, that sort of stuff. All of the books that we're talking about, like the Great Crusade Xenos, they're all free PDFs and that sort of stuff. Yep. So basically, if someone kind of is listening and they would like to try and do something like what we've been discussing, that has to lead the campaigns, the big unified campaigns and that sort of stuff, I'm happy to help, give advice. I'm happy to make heraldry for them and that sort of stuff. So, yeah.
I think that's awesome. Thank you very much, man. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for like staying all the way to the end. Like, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit that like button. Comment down below about what you think. Like, what's going on in your hobby, in your 30K community. See if we can help you out. And yeah, like, let's get this party started. Like, COVID's I'm gonna be cautious here and say like COVID's on the tail end. I think COVID's on the tail end. So we might see a bit of like live streaming back pretty soon. Hopefully. So let's all get prepared for that, and let's all get excited for that. But thank you very much, and have a good night, ladies and gentlemen, because it's certainly night for us, and we're gonna go back to sleep. Thank you very much, mate. Bye-bye.
Thanks, buddy.